tourism is important. Why? Because India needs employment. If any country is having, any sector is having value of more than 50, that means sector is expanding. If the value is less than 50, that means it's shrinking. Our service sector is at 59%. That means it's expanding. We are focusing on orange economy now. We have creatives. Gaming is a serious business in India. Just for information. After Korea, we are the second highest market of gaming. We are second highest after Korea. So industries are three categories: cottage, small scale industries, and heavy industries.
UPSC doesn't punish less study, it punishes unchanged mistakes. If the same issues keep repeating, your prep isn't improving, it's just getting longer. Recall drops in mocks, answers stay generic, elimination errors repeat. Current affairs doesn't convert into mains points. These are signs your preparation needs correction. That's not an effort problem, it's a system problem. Vision IAS Delhi GS Foundation is built to fix this early. Sequenced classes, timely tests, built-in revision, mentorship reviews. PT 365 and Mains 365 make current affairs usable in answers. If UPSC 2027 is your target, start with a structure that makes improvement predictable. Batches starting from 3rd February at 8 am at GTB Nagar and 6th February at 11 am, 13th February at 8 am and 24th February at 5 pm at Karol Bagh. For more information, visit our website or call us on the given numbers.
Welcome you all. And as you know that this session is primarily about a kind of introduction to what this economic survey is and to what extent it is useful in the examination and how you should proceed into that, right? So we'll keep our discussions short and to the point. First thing first, that why economic survey should be studied. This is one of the fundamental questions many of us think, that whether we should study it or not. Let me give you some quick examples to make it more clearer that why you should study it. In mains examination particularly, if you see that there are 7-8 questions asked in paper 3 from economy. Sometimes 7, sometimes 8, sometimes maybe 6, but the average is 6 to 8 questions. And in 6 to 8 questions, if you see that almost 5-6 questions belong to whatever the contemporary issues are as per your syllabus. Like the main issues which they ask, agriculture sector, because agriculture sector is one of the things which definitely is very significant for India. Then what about industries, infrastructure, investments, and these kind of things. And if you see the economic survey and whatever question has been asked, you'll be surprised to see that how they're overlapping. I'm saying surprised to see. So only those can condemn economic survey as a document, those who have not read it. Because if you have not read it, then obviously it may seem like a fanciful story. Let me give you a quick example. Last year, we got, as you have seen the budget, maybe you might have heard about it, we got semiconductor mission 2.0. Last year, we got semiconductor mission 1.0. and we know that we were suffering with critical minerals. The question of mains is that what is India's semiconductor mission, what are the challenges, and what is significance in the economy. Last to last year, in fact, last year also, if you know that there are 14 sectors which are under PLI, production linked incentives. This was the question asked in mains and prelims both. PLI was in prelims also and in mains also, that what are these PLI sectors, how Indian economy got benefited from it, and so and so. Last year there was a question on food inflation. Food inflation, because there was debate going on. Debate was between a chief economic advisor who gives this economic survey and the RBI governor, that whether we should reduce the weightage of food inflation or not. Because what happens in CPI basket, as some of you might not be knowing, to major inflation we have CPI basket. In CPI basket, food weightage earlier was 45.6, and they advised we should reduce it. I don't know how many of you have read it, but day before yesterday that notification came finally. It has been reduced now to 35.6%. This question is in mains. So can you see that almost, if 7 questions they have asked, except one conventional question, all the questions were those were discussed in economic survey in some or the other way. What else you expect from this document? And the best part is that there is an element of predictability, that you can understand which topic is more important probability wise. I'm not saying that 100%, but yes, you can fairly calculate that 70-80% is the probability that it might be asked. And if you got 20-30 such topics at your disposal before mains from the economic survey, you got that cutting edge in paper 3. And paper 3, paper 2 are the decisive papers in your mains examination, because paper 1 is very open-ended. They may ask anything. The whole history is there, the whole geography is there, the whole society is there. It makes it open-ended. That's why, don't trust me, see this topper's copy. None of them score good in paper 1. They mostly score good in paper 2, paper 3, and somehow calibrate in paper 4. This year economic survey is going to helpful in paper 4 also, because they got a separate chapter, 16 chapter, which talks about the economic value of civic sense and so. That sir will be discussing, respective sir. But the point I want to tell you, that why economic survey must be read. Now, obviously, it's 700 odd pages. Can you do it in one go? Do you have enough of time? Obviously not. That's the reason why we are here, and that's the objective why these classes are. So that we can keep it short for you, to the point, precise, which might be important. So the classes which are going to happen very soon, in that we will discuss these things, that how these 700 pages, we will break it down for you, so that you know which topic to highlight, how much important that topic is, and how you can take advantage both in prelims and mains examination. That's the objective. Today, I'll give you the overview of those 6 chapters I am going to discuss, and maybe coincidentally, as we got the budget also, and I'm sure most of you have at least heard here and there, so you will understand why these things were there in economic survey and what is the key point has been highlighted. Now, this I'm taking document directly from the government of India. You need not to go anywhere else. Now, government tells everything. So this is a document. If you just search economic survey PIB, that is Press Information Bureau, which is, I'm sure you're knowing, official communication channel of the government of India. This document is infographics. So I will take the chapters. I hope you are knowing, you're aware of it, but then even I don't want to leave any stone unturned. This economic survey document is presented by Department of Economic Affairs under Ministry of Finance, under the leadership of Chief Economic Advisor. Currently, we have Anant Nageshwaran, a first-class scholar. Earlier, he was professor in Singapore University, and when he came, he tried to give that academic flair to this document. That's the reason why the document is becoming even increasingly more interesting to read, and with more inputs and all. So, if you see that, I will be taking care of the chapters that is here: agriculture, services, industries, investment, environment, and education and health, from 6 to 11, and they are very, very important from mains point of view. If you see that, let me tell you quickly about some of them. So let's say if I say chapter 1, why agriculture, and if you want to take a note, you can side by side take a note on these things also, that now, why agriculture is important sector for India? Not a surprise every year, and don't trust me, go and see. Now these days you have AI, is easy to identify. Every year from agriculture, you get two questions invariably in mains, at least two questions, which one is going to be revolving around agriculture, integrated agriculture, challenges of fertilizer subsidy, and so and so. Another will be allied sector and so. Because if you really want agriculture sector to grow, you cannot just be dependent on the crop production. Those who don't understand Hindi, for them I will translate. But there's a very good saying by Ram Manohar Lohia. He is a veteran leader. He said, "Ek bigha khet, ek gai, apni kheti, apni rai." That the real democracy will come only when you have both livestock as well as crop production. Because if you see the data, here data is showing it also, though we'll talk about data in detail later on, that our livestock is growing at a rate of 6.1%. While overall agriculture is hovering around 4, livestock and fisheries are doing wonderful. Now, when it comes to agriculture, why agriculture is important for India? Listen to me carefully for this part. Agriculture is important for India because of 4 reasons. First, such a huge country, with 150, almost 140 crore people, you cannot have food security. You cannot have food security unless and until you are not having your own crop production. You know what? Sorry to say, but defense and agriculture products, they become very expensive when you need them, if you're importing. So any country's sovereignty depends on whether you are having self-reliance in crop production or not, whether you have self-reliance in defense or not. That's why I often say, I say on a lighter note, but it does make sense. For Russia, it's not war. For Russia, it's drill. They're having fun. They have their own units. They are using it. For Ukraine, it is something which they have to manage pillar to post. And everyone knows who's going to win. It's an open and shut case who's going to win. Same goes with agriculture. I don't know how many of you are knowing, but in 1966-65 war, when we were almost winning, we have to go on back foot because we did not have food sovereignty then. And we were compelled by some of the developed countries, the so-called global north, that you have to stop this war, otherwise we will stop your consignments. Since then, we had made one thing very clear, that food security is our topmost motto. Not a surprise, if you see the chapter talks about it. Raising productivity, securing incomes, and ensuring food security. Because India had to ensure food security, and this time, we had gone one step further. I'll discuss, and this makes question for you, means a likely question. We are going one step further. Mere food security is not good enough. It should be nutritious enough also. It should be nutritious food security. Just making food available is not good enough. They should have proper nutrition. There should be proper care also. So taking that extra mile, if you want food security, you may expect something in now paper. Food security mixed with nutrition and nutritional value and so. So agriculture sector is very important for one thing, that food security will come only when you have your own production. Making sense? But there's another thing which makes agriculture sector very important for India. So first, it is important. Why? Because we need food security for 140 crore people. Second, it is important because almost 50% of the population is dependent on agricultural income. Now, if you really want your country to grow, how you can avoid agriculture? Did you notice the second topic of the chapter? Securing incomes. Because problem is, you pay 20 rupees for uncle chips, not even 20 paisa is reaching to the cultivator. The one who cultivated potatoes and all, they are not getting the fair share. How it's possible? How we can make that not a surprise? Questions, in fact, again, 2025, question has been asked, the role of cooperatives. Because if you really want to promote agricultural income for our farmers, cooperative is the solution. We have to work on cooperatives. We have to make sure that the food processing is doing wonderful. As of now, they're cultivating, but are they getting the benefit of food processing? That means once the cultivation is there, and after that, there is a chain, supply chain, that it should go to the cold storage, then it should be processed, then it should be sent to the markets, and the actual producers should get benefits from all these things. Not a surprise, questions has been asked on these things, that how we can do. This chapter highlights on that part also. So when we'll discuss the chapter in detail, you will understand, and that's why you can expect something coming again from food processing. Not only that, food processing, if you see in the budget again, in the food processing, we have got a sizable increase in the budgetary allocation, because we know food processing is the solution. And food processing is also very useful for gender empowerment, because rural women will get jobs. So that's how it's a win-win situation. In one hand, farmers are getting income, females are getting empowered, and overall you are becoming self-reliant on your economy, thinking of agriculture produce. Sir might have said, in fact, he will discuss in external sector, this time our trade deficit was little lesser. We are on a comfortable current account deficit of 0.8%. Reason being because agriculture export has increased also. So we have to work on, but yes, tariff has hit us. That's why not a surprise. If you notice, textile sector, fisheries, we got special budgetary allocations in the budget because we know that we have to brace the impact. We can't beg in front of them, and we don't want either. But what we want to have our own resilience. So that is why agriculture is very, very important sector. So first reason was I said food security. Second is that you have to ensure that they are getting benefited from whatever they are producing, not the middleman. And that will be possible only when you are ensuring their agricultural incomes, when you are ensuring that they are having what is called fair share in the post-harvest production. That's called post-harvest production, that when they got proper infrastructure, when they can export the things. That's why various cooperatives are there now, and they are ensuring that, I don't know how many of you are knowing, but in those classes we'll talk about it, called FPOs, Farmers Produce Organizations. Now, many of the FPOs are exporting directly. Like I would like to give a quick example of Nagpur. Recently, Nagpur has exported directly the oranges to other countries, and they are cooperatives. They are cooperatives, quite like Amul. They are cooperatives. So we are having now cooperatives coming in agriculture sector for post-harvest benefits. Then only income will be assured. Value addition should be done with the food processing. So this chapter is something highlighting, and again, either they're asking question on food security, food processing, and such like things. Not only that, if you know that it's very important, again, when it comes to agriculture, there's another problem when it comes to agriculture sector, and that is that most of our farmers are having less than 2 acres of land, so or 2 hectares of land, officially speaking. So as they're having less than 2 hectares of land, that's small sizes, almost 86% of the farmers of India are having, or households are having, land holding of less than 2 hectare. What do you call them? Small and marginal farmers, right? So less than 2 hectare land means what? They do not have enough of land, and that makes them dependent on local money lenders. Another thing very, very important, that we have to ensure agriculture financing for them. That's why Kisan Credit Card, that's why we are having what is called Mudra scheme. Mudra scheme is something which is again highlighted. Again, I was surprised to see that how in Mudra scheme, ab dekhiye, this is how you can estimate. 2016 was Mudra introduced. 2026, economic survey is highlighting the significance of Mudra scheme. Those who are not knowing, Mudra scheme is a kind of microfinance scheme where those people who are not having guarantee, they get loan into 3 categories. That is called Shishu, Kishore, and Tarun. 2016 it was introduced. 10 years has completed. Economic survey is talking in detail. Are you not guessing that in prelims or mains this could be important? This is how you can make the guideline that what could be significance from prelims point of view, mains point of view. And interestingly, this data is very interesting. Of the total Mudra money, 36 lakh crore rupees has been given. Of the total Mudra money, 69% are female beneficiaries. Now this data is very important. You can use it in mains, they may ask in prelims also, that maximum beneficiaries are so and so. So maximum beneficiaries, 69% of female beneficiaries. So all these things, in fact, you might have heard of self-help groups being promoted with the Lakpati, because you know what, we are going for micro irrigations, where Lakpati Didis will be introduced. And Lakpati Didis are being given the drone training and all. We are using Internet of Things in agriculture. That's why we need data. I don't know how many of you are knowing, but farmers are now using, some of the advanced farmers started using Internet of Things. What we do, we introduce sensors in our agriculture field that is connected to your mobile, and that gives us a precise information that whether it's going to be wind, whether it's going to rain, any problem of insects and these kind of things. For that, we need proper data. We need proper, this is called agri-stack. If you notice, even the budget has talked about it. Budget has called it, Krishi Vistar. So this way, agriculture is very, very important chapter from mains point of view with high element of predictability. that you know. Thus, just by keeping some of the facts, some of the understanding, you get one or two questions quick ready in the mains examination. That's definitely makes it a good deal. So this is what agriculture sector, and they have talked about all these things. In fact, those who are from Punjab, Haryana, part of UP, Rajasthan, they might be knowing in these areas they cultivate only 2 3 crops. In Ravi, they go with only what is called during Ravi wheat, during Kharif rice or sugarcane. Look, Maharashtra. Maharashtra is not good for sugarcane cultivation. That's why Latur and these problems are man-made problems. Semi-arid reason you're cultivating sugarcane. Arhar, headache for us. Arhar is Kharif crop, what is called tur, is Kharif crop, and good substitute is gram, which is Arabi crop. We had identified, again, for the first time I could see that the entire chapter is focusing upon what is called crop diversification and its importance. Now, this is something which is likely from means examination, that why crop diversification is important, how it may benefit with the people, and so and so. Because if you're only producing sugarcane, wheat, and rice, government has limitation of MSP. They can't buy all products. So you are, again, though we have what is called PM Asha. PM Asha is to help those whose things are not procured by government, but not good enough. So we need these kind of things. So all these things has been highlighted. That is how a calibrated approach is a wonderful topic from mains point of view. This is examination. So this is how in this entire chapter they have talked about, in fact, at one place, all the schemes, what could be needed for them, what kind of income support is needed. So we got entire chapter is actually dedicated to all the 3 parts: how to increase productivity, how to have self-reliance. Second part is more about how to ensure food security with the nutrition. Third part is more about that how to ensure income with the food processing, value addition, and agriculture marketing, and these kind of things. If you see the main syllabus, these topics are explicitly mentioned in your syllabus. Now, if something is mentioned in your syllabus and discussed here, I hope you understand the relevance of it. That's the reason why this chapter is very, very important from mains point of view. And if you see last 2, 3, 4 years in prelims, 1 or 2 questions they're asking even in prelims, depending upon what exactly the primary schemes are, what the major, like we got PM Mandhan. So PM Mandhan might be asked. Personally speaking, I feel that this time it's going to be Mudra. Mudra might be very important because government is showcasing it, the way it is spending the money and so. So if you see this way, we got this chapter, agriculture, very, very important chapter from mains point of view. And trust me, reading this chapter from economic survey is worth for your mains examination and for better understanding that where our 50% of population lies. So there are 3 reasons again why agriculture is important. A, we need food security, and such a huge population cannot be dependent on import. B, it's very important that the food should be nutritious also. That's why we are talking about these millets and these kind of cultivations. Third, it's very important that they should get decent income returns for whatever they are doing. And fourth, definitely, we have to make sure that there is enough of financing and back to end-to-end support, along with soil health. Because in Punjab, recently we have seen some very upsetting trend that we got uraniums in soil. Can you see that how eutrophication is taking place? So soil health is another very important thing we have to. So there is end-to-end thing. We'll discuss in class in detail when we'll do that chapter in that sprint class. That how end-to-end from soil health to agriculture production to what is called, even this is called now, we use a term for it called Harit Kranti 2.0. That talks from farm to fork, end-to-end, farm to fork. This term was popularized by Professor Kalam, that is called Green Revolution 2.0, Harit Kranti 2.0, where we want our soil to be better. Even that's why, did you notice, if you have seen the budget highlights, fertilizer subsidy has been reduced on some chemical fertilizers, while biomanuring we are promoting. Because there's one scheme for this, when we want that we should reduce our dependence on chemical fertilizers, because of chemical fertilizer, our products are not purchased in European market. In European market, they are not purchasing our things by saying that you are using too much of chemical fertilizers. And we are targeting, thanks to ma'am, she has given some, obviously assurance also. I hope you knowing that EU and India is going to have FTA now. In that case, that's a big market for agriculture products. And that will be encashed only when we are also thinking of soil health, we are avoiding eutrophication. So we'll discuss on detail. The point I want to tell you that this chapter, whatever time it may take, say 1 or 2 hours, and once you're prepared with some of the fundamental data, you will see that you are ready for 2 questions at least in your mains examination. Good questions which can be handled properly. Making sense? I hope I'm making sense to all of you. The next chapter which I will be taking care of is services. Now, again, services has been always our savior. If you see in total GDP, almost 55% belong to services, 55% of GVA belongs to services. And services, especially in 3 criteria, services in India are divided into 3 categories. One is called kind of general services, where you have telecommunication, where you have what is called transport, logistics. In fact, did you notice the cover page of economic survey? Cover page of economics. In fact, cover page, I don't know whether you will think I'm exaggerating or what. Don't trust me, go and see the previous year question paper and the cover page. I can quickly tell you, 2020-21, the cover page was V-shape recovery of India. Question was, do you think India has witnessed V-shape recovery in mains? 21 talked about infrastructure development. Question was, why infrastructure is needed for faster GDP? And so on. This year, we are going very aggressive on export and container making. We want to challenge China on that now. This is a bold move. We have to wait and watch that how it unfolds. But India is, can you see the whole India is now container here. So this is our aggressive approach. So we are coming with whooping budgetary allocations. I'll discuss in detail because today I don't think we should be getting into those data jargons. But there's a whooping increase in budgetary allocation and container making. Don't you think it's a likely question then? Because infrastructure in a syllabus. So as infrastructure in syllabus, they could ask this in prelims also, they could ask this in mains also. They may ask these kind of, in fact, one thing is port. After this Red Sea controversy, we have understood that we need to modernize our ports. In infrastructure, this is very important that we need to modernize our ports. And unless until we are not modernizing our ports and we are not upgrading, that's why basic duty on these things has been reduced. On both civil aviation, when we are, because look, India is now going to be a market for maintaining overhauling of planes also. Because Boeing is in India now. Boeing has came in India in 2022-23-4. If you see that, when Boeing came in India, economic survey talked about it. And look, UPSC's question, what do you understand by civil aviation and RCS Udan? Because I don't know how many of you are knowing Captain Gopinath. Does it ring bell to you? Captain Gopinath is the one who started those low-cost flights in India, and especially the Deccan Airways. So he was head of RCS Udan. Now look, UPSC asked mains question. And that was quite predictable. Something will be asked on civil aviation. This year, mains is going to be on port. They may ask Port Authority Act. They may ask challenges of port development, what has been done, what needs to be done. So this way, again, I'll say economic survey itself is very good document to understand your requirements in the mains examination. So coming back to the point, if you see services, in services, what they have highlighted, on page number, all right. So if you see this way, can you see that how India has recovered in the pre-COVID phase, 7.6%. So this is something which is showing after China, India is another country which is now on the complete recovery of COVID because services were largely hit by COVID. Most of the services were capped, what you can say, when we have what is called man-to-man interaction in the services, and that's why services were hit in COVID. Now we have seen the full recovery in the services. And that's why if you see that in 2024, they have talked about it. Again, as of now, not in data jargon, but the point is that India is good in services. India is good in services, but time has come when they had said that now we have to upgrade our services, keeping the global trend. Keeping the global trend. And when we say services, particularly in terms of what you can say logistics, Because again, the world is a big market for logistics. Logistics, taking things from one place to another, and that makes you important in global supply chain also. So India is a big market in logistics, plus tourism. That's why if you watch carefully the budget, even budget has given special allocations on medical tourism. Because in India, medical tourism is increasing at a faster pace. Medical tourism is increasing. We have world-class doctors, world-class facilities at a cheaper rate. That's why we are having now special attention. We'll talk about in detail in the class that we have a special attention on medical tourism, education tourism also. Religious tourism has the potential. That's why Buddha, in fact, I'm very delighted to share, those one from the class can recall, I have always highlighted, we have yet to encash the Buddha. The Buddhist tourism, if you see that we have promoted now Buddhist tourism to the length and width. So when it comes to tourism in various ways, be it tourism of medical tourism, be it tourism of, you can say, education tourism, there's one thing called MICE tourism, religious tourism. Uh, we have identified 75 cities for it. And that will be possible. Why? Again, tourism is important. Why? Because India needs employment. And tourism is what is called very much labor intensive thing. Can I give you quick data to again from the economic survey that almost 69% of the rural youth, 69% of the rural youth are getting benefited if you see in terms of total jobs created in tourism. So if there are 100 jobs created, 69 of them belongs to the urban youth. And that's how urban youth are getting benefited with these kind of tourism. Time has come to encash all these things. So in the services chapter, they have highlighted time has come for high-end services. Like India is working on semiconductor mission now. We are very aggressive on semiconductor mission. In fact, not only semiconductor, critical minerals exploration also. That's why another surprise question has been asked in prelims last year also, and in mains. Critical mineral exploration, we have identified 4 states now. Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. Obviously, there's election also. That's a different thing. So these 4 states, they already have that mining infrastructure. They have good mining infrastructure. They have what is called those kind of facilities. That's the reason why we are ensuring that we should not be dependent on China for critical minerals. We're trying to identify our own potentials. And chip is where we want to have more royalties. Because worldwide, chip manufacturing and chip designing are the 2 major concerns. Our modern life revolves around chip. That's why you call chip as new oil. This is a new oil. So in that case, we want more services into that sector. This chapter has highlighted on those parts, that why we have to go for advanced services also. From the routine services, which we are doing good, we should hold it, but at the same time, we should move towards advanced services, from chip making to medical tourism and these kind of things. So entire chapter is talking about that why service sector is important. In fact, look, this data I was talking about, okay, how service sector is important. Even service PMI, there is one thing called PMI data. Those who are not aware of, what is PMI data? Every year, every month, we get a data from managers. That is called Purchasing Managers Index. It is presented on the first week of every month. Purchasing Managers Index. This data is based on the surveys conducted from the managers, both in manufacturing sector and in service sector. Data is calculated by one very famous agency called Standards and Poor. And this PMI data is scaled on 0 to 100. If any country is having, any sector is having value of more than 50, that means sector is expanding. If the value is less than 50, that means it's shrinking. Our service sector is at 59%. That means it's expanding. So clearly indicating, look, PMI, they have already asked in your prelims examination. That has been already asked when PMI came up, they have asked PMI data. So you should be at least aware of. Like in prelims, I think from inflation, this time it could be CPI. A lot of changes has happened, and so this is how CPI got very modern. I was very happy to see that even Netflix subscription has been added into the basket now. So we have got that in basket 368 items, Netflix subscription. Obviously, many of them are there, so it should be taken into account. So this is how we got when we talk about this idea that how and why it is important. So we are having now services, and look, this software services, professional management services are witnessing growth. So it's very significant. We should be working on services. What kind of question they have asked in services? If you see in mains examination, they've asked question that why it is important for India's economy, how India has moved from manufacturing to services. Sometime they have asked that services are doing good, but what else is needed? So we need to understand whatever is doing good, we should promote on that. Maybe sir might have given you reference, but this time our current account deficit is lesser because of services, especially mode 1 services. There are 4 types of services export: mode 1, mode 2, mode 3, mode 4. Mode 1, we are doing wonderful. Mode 1 means when you are staying in your country, service providers staying in their country, and services are forwarded with the help of technology. That's called mode 1. Let's take an example that, let's say I'm taking classes on YouTube for my clients in USA. So I'm staying in my country, service provider, service recipient is in his or her country, and with the help of technology, services are provided. This is called mode 1. India has done wonderful in mode 1. Mode 2, we are also doing good. Mode 2 is when service consumer is coming to the country of service provider, like tourism. Tourism. So mode 1, mode 2, we are doing wonderful, needless to say. And in European Union, we are pitching for what is called easier visa norms. That's called mode 4. So if European Union people start giving us easier working visa, it will be easy for us. In fact, that's why we have also given a counter thing to them, that uh, your education, foreign education is going to be cheaper now, because we got percentage of LRS cut from 5% to 2%. Now, all these things will be discussed in detail. As of now, I'm just trying to tell you that why this chapter is important from mains point of view. So from mains point of view, services are very significant, knowing this, that they contribute a lot to the India's economy. However, direct questions are not that frequently asked. They may ask it in alliance with something else, that services are doing good, manufacturing is not, or what else to be done in services, and that kind of thing. So transport services, I told you, is where, and we got a very good thing here. For the first time, we are focusing on ocean technology, because deep sea mineral exploration is the need of our. I don't know how many of you know, but Canada have already started it, and as a large scale. So mineral exploration, there are a lot of minerals on the deep sea. When it comes to offshore, you might have heard of offshore mining. Offshore mining, we are not good at. We don't have any of our expertise there. Any of our companies, those who are in mining businesses in India, they do not have that kind of expertise. We need experts from the outside. There are some German companies, there are some American companies. That's why we are allowing them in PPP model. Okay, let's come in PPP model. Let's go for offshore mining. A lot of minerals and materials are there down in this ocean. We'll talk about it. That look, this question has been asked. When this debate started, they've asked mineral exploration is what kind of service? Mineral exploration is a service. And this is how we got this kind of thing coming up, that why it is important that we should focus on mineral exploration. So, in fact, commercial launches, though unfortunately, back-to-back 2 losses we happened in the ISRO, but ISRO by and large has been quite successful. So we are having now commercial launches for many countries, their satellites, both macro and micro. So all these things we are targeting, this detail has been given. And so again, services does not mean only BPO sector. Please grow up. India was there in 1990s, but it's not the same India. We are now thinking of those kind of high-end services. That's why I believe, personally speaking, I believe in mains question might be asked that what further needs in service sector. Because so far we had been very conservative, only thinking of those BPO and tourism and these kind of things. Time has come to scale up. This whole chapter has talked about that. So we'll talk in that in detail. In fact, in tourism, I told you how the things are. Even media and entertainment also. There's one thing called orange economy. Be ready for it. And we are going to have more than 500 labs now with the help of that center. Now, this might be a question related to that, because orange economy, and we have a center, and even for creativity, where it is Mumbai, in Mumbai, and that is center has been given the job now to identify labs. Now in the colleges, schools, this is something we call as our animation, visual, gaming, and cartoon AVGC sector. It's now a complete sector called orange economy. We are focusing on orange economy now. We have creatives. Gaming is a serious business in India. Just for information. After Korea, we are the second highest market of gaming. We are second highest after Korea. I don't know what's so special with Korea. No, why they are in Gangnam style all the time, but but we are second highest. We are second high, and we have the potential. That's why 500 labs are on the board. On the board, and again, chapter has talked about it. Budget has talked about it. If you see that budget has talked about the allocation for it. So this is how we got, these kind of things has been highlighted in this chapter. We'll talk about, this is my favorite this time. If you see from these chapters, I'm going to discuss, that is industry. They had said time has come for that tech shift we were waiting. Because one thing is for sure, look, 2025 question, PLIs and challenges. 2024 questions, manufacturing sector needs to be higher if India want to grow faster. If India really want a growth rate in 2 digits at the constant rates, if India really want, and I hope you're knowing that the GDP base year has been changed now. We got the formal information yesterday, and on February 27, the first tranche of 22-23 base year calculation will be released by MOSPI. So keep an eye on February 27. You'll get now the new calculation based on 22-23 of the third quarter, because up to second quarter we got the data. Third quarter data will be based on new base year, that is 22-23, release likely to be released on 27th. ये MOSPI का कल का official notification है. So this is how we got, when we talk about this concept, industry needs a big jump, because let me give you a quick example. If India want to grow in 2 digits growth rate, and I hope you're knowing, when we say growth rate, it is always at constant price. Unless until said nominal, it is constant price. Like when you are saying next year it will be 7.3% as per economic forecast, what it is at constant price. So if you see this way, if India want 2 digit growth rate of 10% and above, it is inevitable, it is inevitable and unavoidable that our manufacturing sector should grow at, and their contribution should be at least 25%. As of now, we are hovering around 15-16%. That's not a good, we are shy of almost 9%. And there is massive scope. Massive scope in what way? All the three. Industries, when we say, are divided into 3 categories. First is called small scale industries, or before that you can say cottage industries. Cottage industries are those industries which do not require much of capital. Then we got what we call small scale industries, SSIs. SSIs are now renamed as micro, small and medium enterprises since 2006. Earlier they were called SSI. Now we call them MSME, that is micro, small and medium enterprises. That's the new name. Now, MSME are facing 3-4 major challenges. A, they have financial crunch. They don't have enough of loan available. That's why we got special budgetary allocations. B, they need technology upgradation. And they are the one who are job creators in India. Job creators. And that's the reason why this chapter talks about why it is important to work on MSME sector, very importantly, and then heavy industries. So industries are 3 categories: cottage, small scale industries and heavy industries. Even in heavy industries, India should take it seriously now. There should be a tech shift. What is tech shift? That now time has come for technology upgradation and innovations. Because so far, we are using very conventional technologies. Time has come that let's promote on technology, because look, in the wake of AI, if we are lagging technology, we might be left behind. So time has come for technology. That's why they had said industry performance, growth, resilience, and transformation. Trust me, from this chapter, again, like agriculture, I said 2 questions. From this chapter, you are bound to get 1 question, whatever they are asking. So here we had got this, that how our overall technology is something which is doing good. But again, we have to improve our industries. So again, we'll discuss all these things in detail, that how it is, especially when it comes to technology. I told you chip making is one thing. EV section. EV section is another very important section when we have to focus upon. Electric vehicle section, because this is again a very promising market coming up. Third point where we have to work on technology, especially in terms of my mineral and explorations. Fourth thing, when it again industry needs focus, is our conventional thing, because we need a lot of cement, a lot of steel. As you know that India is going to spend almost, if you see that 12.2 lakh crore rupees as capex expenditure. I'm sure you have heard of it here and there in terms of data, that 12.2 lakh crore, which is a 9% increase from the last year budget, almost 9%, slightly lesser than that though, because now adjusted value is 11.2 as per the data. So again, don't worry, these data, I told you, today we are not for these data part. We are for just getting the idea that what it is. So as India is spending more on capital expenditure, those who are not understanding capital expenditure, in simple terms, capital expenditure means all those expenditures which are going to make you long-term assets and will give you more earning in time. Anything which is making long-term asset or reducing long-term liabilities is called capital expenditure. That's the official definition. So capital long-term means more than 1 year. So if you're making long-term assets, that is where, if you see that capital expenditure is counted. And as India is increasing, we need cement, we need steel, we have to make our own electric vehicle, we have to maintain our own raw material, then textile. So all, because textile is a labor-intensive thing. A lot of our people are dependent on textile sector, from agriculture to what is called services. Not only agriculture, even agriculture services. Surprisingly, Vietnam is coming at a faster pace. Vietnam is coming as a dark horse. In fact, two things are there which is surprising in the changing world. Malaysia is increasing in digital economy. This is, I don't know how many of you know, did you notice it or not, but in export you will read, when you will read in the detail, that in export, FDI, maximum FDI, India now ranks first in digital FDI. Digital economy FDI, India ranks first, but the second is Malaysia. This is surprising. In textile, we are seeing Bangladesh and Vietnam doing better. So time has come, and we had been given additional tariff burden also. So considering all these things, time to have resilience in textile sector. So in this chapter, we'll discuss little about 4 or 5 major sectors, and like again, from these 4 or 5, most likely you'll get one question in your mains examination, that which sector might be important. Textile might be asked even in prelims also, because there is one scheme called Mudra and all that. So that might be significant. So this chapter actually talks about it. Uh, Even innovation, as I told you, time has come for IP, that we have to work on our own IP. We have to work on system resilience. So we have to work on these kind of things. Here they had given global innovation leap. I personally believe, if I have to go probability-wise, more than 80% is the probability. I'm saying more than 80% is the probability that global innovation index might be asked, for 2 reasons. A, we are doing wonderful in the global innovation index. Our ranking has improved. And B, even this month, Yojana has talked about it in detail, coming from the concerned secretary directly. In any of the Yojana magazine, if a secretary has written anything, that thing may be asked in examination, probability is more than 70%. Because that means it is discussed in the bureaucratic corridors. They are discussing a lot about it. So global innovation index, we have improved. We'll talk about that, how it is. Now you should be knowing how there are 4 indicators into that, where India rank. Very good question from Prelims point of view, trust me. Probability is more than 70%. I'm not saying 100%, but more than 70%. Next chapter, we'll talk about investment in infrastructure. I told you about it, how Capex has increased, why it is important to focus on investment, which part of infrastructure, and good part is that investments are coming to us. Digital investment has increased, and physical connectivity, India is improving. Power sector. Now, if you see that overall power sector, because again, in power sector, we have a concern, serious concern, that our discom companies are not doing good. In power sector, the biggest problem is of discom companies. Production is fine, but discom companies, distributing companies. So that they are continuous in loss. I don't want to get into the data part as of now, but just for a reference, 2.7% of the gross GSDPs of the state is belonging to the discom companies' loss. So the survey has talked about that part also, that why it is important, then why digital connectivity. And look, as I told you, that how India is now very high in terms of digital, this is called digital public infrastructure. So DPI, India is continuously growing in DPI. We have improved in DPI. So the chapter highlights all the significance of all that also. Then again, when it comes to environment and climate change, this is something where, because as America has taken exit, now climate finance is a serious concern. Climate finance is a serious concern, and if India want to really to be what is called net zero by 2070, we need an alternative roadmap. I don't know how many of you are knowing that fellow. Montek Singh Ahluwalia runs an institute. So a few days back, there was a very good article in Indian Express where he gave the alternative route map also. When I was reading economic survey, and that remind me of that article, that this has talked about that how growth with environment, and they're using a term called parivesh, that is vikas and paryavaran together. So this is time we are going to have parivesh 2.0. They may directly ask what is this parivesh and what are the components of the parivesh and so and so. So we'll talk about that, how the scheme is, what are the challenges are, what the concerns are, and where we are. One thing very interesting I noticed this time, that why nuclear energy? You know what? When India talked about renewable energy in 2021, we got questions in mains examination. This time, a very good analysis has been provided. Very interesting. That what are the challenges of renewable energy, and why nuclear energy can be solution, and what are the challenges of nuclear energy? Because in nuclear energy's biggest challenge is how to manage radioactive waste, because that waste is going to remain for longer period. So there is a whole debate in energy, that why renewable energy, because renewable energy needs a lot of critical minerals. Again, the same problem. And critical mineral 90% belongs to China. So to make solar panels, to make these kind of things, again, we are dependent upon them. So why nuclear energy could be solution to it? Even it's cost effective also. Wonderful wonderful article. Trust me. Again, I just keep it at record, and you can check it after the mains examination. So far, we are not disappointed. Trust me, it has more than 80% probability to be asked. They have already asked nuclear energy in your mains, though. Still, I believe that this kind of comparison, that do you think renewable energy versus nuclear energy, what could be? Because it's a very important debate coming up now. That why that is not the solution in itself. We should not be only thinking of renewable energy in terms of solar panel. Time has come for a shift also. So this is how we got all these kind of things. So you should be knowing what is called National Nuclear Energy Mission, and very importantly, Shanti Act. I will be again not very surprised if you got Shanti Act in your prelims examination, because it talks about all those provisions of civil liabilities related to the nuclear energy and all. We'll discuss in detail, but it's an interesting thing which you should be taking a note upon. Then the next chapter I will be taking care of is, let's say quickly about that too, is education and health. Again, because you know what, if you really want to make fixed capital, what is important is to work on human capital also. Human capital means, again, they should be skilled, they should be educated, they should be healthy. Human capital, as per World Bank defines what is human capital in its famous human capital project. So human capital consists of, again, three components: that they should be healthy, they should be educated with a skill, and they should have willingness to work. Because labor means these three things. Labor does not mean only a man standing there. Labor means skill to work, will to work, and capacity to work. These three things together is called human capital. You can go on World Bank link to see, very wonderfully explained. And we have an index also called Human Capital Index. Like India's value is 0.4935. Singapore value is 0.88. Now compare. 88% is the probability a child born in Singapore will be a good human capital. 49% is the probability a child born in India will be a good human capital. We need to work upon it. And that's why what is the role of national education policy? They have talked about it. Why it is important that we should be thinking of multilingualism, academic structure, why it is important for internationalization of the skill programs. And then we also have what is called healthcare, very important. Good part is that life expectancy has increased now. India's, halaki here they are just saying 70.3. If you see HDI data, this year HDI data is saying life expectancy of India is 72 years. Whooping 72 years. Last data it was 69 years. Now look at the comparison, look at the jump from 69 years to 72 years in one single year. One single year, that means we have overcome to this COVID impact. And then obviously child mortality has dropped. IMR has dropped below 37. Halaki, there is one thing called National Family Health Survey where it is below 30 now. National Family Health Survey Tranche 5 says below 30. Don't get about these data as of now. The point is that IMR, that means how many infants are dying, how many kids are dying within the 52 weeks of their birth, is called IMR, per 1,000 child. That is called IMR, per 1,000 live birth. If that is something which is reducing, that means our health facility is doing good. So IMR has reduced, overall calorie intake has increased. I told you that time has come for nutritious food also, not just food security. What are government initiatives into this? In fact, this time we have also talked about mental health. In fact, in Ranchi, we have a center already, Rajti and Tejpur. So obviously that has been given special emphasis in budget, if you have followed the budget. So special emphasis has been given because we want mental health. Uh, Mental health is a serious concern now. It's a growing serious concern worldwide, and India has that potential. We should be catering the needs of ours also, as well as promoting medical tourism in that direction. So in terms of Ayushman, Ayushman consists of two schemes. One is called Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya, that is health insurance. Another is called development of Ayushman Mandirs, or primary health and wellness centers. Uh, that scheme also got special emphasis in this discussion, and more than 50% of the population is now under the coverage of what you can say health insurances, the bottom 50%. However, Niti Aayog has given a report. Now, this is where it is going interesting. Economic survey is saying 50% of the bottom are getting health insurance. 10-15% of the top are having health insurance of their own. So what about rest? Niti Aayog gave a special report it called missing middle. Almost 35% people are lagging. Now this is where, and when insurance is now having FDI of 100%, IRDAI has been strengthened, you can expect a question on that. That's our job though. I told you that's why you are listening to us. To give all these things at one place and one platter so that you know, okay, fine, this is what needs to be done. So this is how we got, these chapters I shall be taking care of. Obviously, I was going fast because I was told I should give you a brief idea that what each chapter is talking about. When I'll discuss in detail about each of them, that what this chapter is, we'll take certain notes also, that these things are important and how we will also see the corresponding questions asked in the last at least 5-7 years, so that you can see that, okay, fine, when something comes in economic survey, how the questions are drafted on that. So this was it about this discussion. I hope you got benefited from it. Thank you.
Aspirants, let me ask you, how ready are you for Prelims 2026? Not just in hours, but in clarity, strategy, and execution. With the exam approaching fast, doubt is natural. Are you missing gaps? Is your effort aligned? If doubt seeps in, that's your cue to preparation with precision. That's where the fast track course for UPSC Prelims 2026 by Vision IAS comes in. It is designed to turn uncertainty into a clear, step-by-step plan for success. Starting from 28th January 2 p.m., the course offers structured syllabus mastery, where expert guidance ensures that every topic and every concept is covered thoroughly and precisely. Current affairs are simplified through PT 365 sessions, making important developments easy to understand. Performance tracking is built in with mini tests and detailed expert feedback, helping you identify gaps and strengthen weak areas. So, if self-doubt is creeping in or time feels short, remember, it's not about rushing, it's about preparing smart, step by step with clear direction. To register, visit our website or call us on the given numbers.
Anything to ask, if anyone? Any question? Any clarification? Fine? All right, thank you. Parivesh 2.0. The article, I was saying that, finance secretary concern has also talked about, that was not about Parivesh part. I'm saying that now the time has come for climate financing. And Montek Singh Aliwala has written an article about it in Indian Express, that if you want to be net zero, what should be the potential roadmap for it? That is what I was saying. And the second thing which I said in Yojana published was Global Innovation Index. So there was a wonderful article given in the Global Innovation Index in Yojana that also can be read, because if something is there and there at the same time, clearly indicates that this is something which has been discussed in the bureaucratic corridors. Fine. All right. Thank you.